Welcome back.
I'm Nicole.
And I'm Megan.
And we are the Synchronicity Sisters.
We change your brain to change your life.
We take old programming you were given during childhood, flip it on its head, and give you a new perspective. And you can do what you wish with it. Most of the time, people look at it differently. What? It's true.
I was just giggling because, yeah, there's a lot of ways there's a myriad of ways that you can take things and implement them into your life. So that was just a very true statement. I just never heard you say that. So I was
changing it up for our listeners.
I think it was great.
Because it gets boring after a while.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, go change it up. Use different words.
If you're old, if you're new, if you're old, blue, green, we don't care. We're grateful that you're here.
We look like watermelon today.
Thank you for being here. We are very springy. I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for warmth. But anyway, thank you for supporting our show. And if you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns, or an idea on what you'd like to hear more of, or what you want to know about, and you think that we may know it, please ask, please comment. We would love to hear it. Today, we are talking about how to plan a date, because apparently it's a thing that men no longer have a skill set in. So, which is wild to me. Because
this was a request.
Yes. Date. It's like date, and it's like Netflix and chill has become dating. So people don't even know how to date each other anymore. So
awkward.
And I'm not here to shame, but I'm just kind of like, I think it's interesting that we got this as a request. I'm really grateful that somebody wanted to request it.
Glad they want to do better.
It's just interesting that it's not a skill set anymore. And when I think about it, that actually completely makes sense, because fucking is now dating instead of like actual
What did you call it the other day?
courtship.
It's sports fucking?
Sport fucking.
Sport fucking.
Yeah.
How many people can you sleep with in a week?
Oh, I mean, I was watching a Instagram the other day where there's like very large woman, and she was obese. I know people get offended when you say things like that, but she was like 24, 25. I can't remember how old she said she was. 60 men. She had sex with 60 men. And she's saying this on a podcast. So you also have to like sit there. And even the guy said this to her. So she's like, so you times it by 2. And I was like, oh, fuck.
Oy.
So I am just so floored by that, because I think about, like, I haven't even been on 60 first dates in my entire existence of dating. I have not been on 60 first dates.
And you have like 13 years on her. Because she was how old? 20?
I don't have 13 years on her.
How old was she?
She's 25.
Oh, 25. I thought you said 20.
No.
Okay.
Oh
so
my God, if she was 20, then
yeah, I was like, wait a second.
I was like 15 years on her.
Okay, so she's 25. Okay, I mean, you've got, yeah.
Well, but not only that,
but still,
like,
in the framing of it, you've got more years on her.
That's insane to like sit there and be like, okay, I haven't even talked to in a romantic way 60 men, and she has fucked, from what she's claiming, right? I don't know if you actually times it by 2 like the guy said, but I mean,
but that's what man brain does. They times it by 2.
Probably.
Yeah, because they're like, how much, what territory.
Yeah, I think
men territorial spidey sense goes off.
Right, and they've said that like men exaggerate, like, oh, I've been with like 50 girls, so then you divide it by 2.
Yeah, yeah,
I've heard that.
Where men, if you say 60, they times it by 2, because they're like, how much, it's their like territorial like instinct that goes off, and they're like, but have you really been? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. That makes my brain hurt.
Sport fucking is not dating,
but both are doing it now, which is crazy. Like, I don't know a woman on the planet that's in her feminine that would go on a podcast and be like, I have fucked 60 men and I'm 25, and I'm like,
but technically she's not in her feminine. If she's overweight, then she has a shield, masculine shield that has literally manifested in the physical realm, and that's why she's obese. Because it's a fat shield.
It's a fat shield.
Someone is probably going to be offended by that, but that is they're proving it more and more that your body holds on by cortisol and stress and blah blah blah.
Let's talk about that for a minute, just in case people got offended. So, excessive eating is no different than excessive drinking. It's no different than snorting coke or doing anything. It's a substance abuse. When you are using food,
yes,
as a coping mechanism, that is an addiction, and it causes you to gain weight. Just like if you smoke too much meth, you're going to lose weight. So let's just like be honest. That is what it is. There is no shame or judgment. It just is a fact. If you are addicted to food, you are obese.
I mean, that makes sense why they have Overeaters Anonymous, Alcohol
Correct.
Anonymous,
Correct.
Cocaine Anonymous.
Correct.
So go get help.
It's
in
nothing to
processing
be
your stuff.
offended by. That is, you
It's just a
have an
fact.
addiction, and that is what it is. Do what you will with it. There's an addiction there.
Yes.
Just like if you're an anorexic and you're not eating,
That's an addiction.
that's an addiction. So, whether you're too skinny or too fat, like in our culture, we really like extremes. So, there's not any just normal sized girls on the cover of magazines. They're either, plus size or like in our day and age, plus size was like our size models, which is crazy.
We're a size 2.
I was plus
2,
size.
4.
Which is crazy.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
I'm even a
considered plus
0
size. Yeah,
in some because
yeah.
my waist is so small.
No, it's crazy.
So if I needed to be about 100 pounds at 5'7" in order to be a model size. And even when I was 115, it was crazy. Anyway, complete side note, but it just encourages ill behavior with food.
Yes.
So again, nothing to be offended by. Just own it, look at it, change it if you want. Don't change it if you don't want. Don't really care. I want everyone to be healthy, but we also, in order to be healthy, have to face our demons. If food is your poison, then look at it. Alcohol, anything. We're encouraging everybody to look at their stuff. We are not shaming anybody. Just like we are here to teach, now that we've gone on a tangent about all of that, how to date and plan dates for men and for women, actually, for that matter, because women do plan dates, even feminine does, because we do give back. In today's world,
Balance.
It's also like men need to not feel like they're, I'm saying feel. You don't want, which is feminine, a man to get to a point where he's like, well, I'm doing everything.
To think he's being used.
Yeah. So, as a rule of thumb, right, men plan the dates, but we will also go over when a woman plans a date, like what that looks like and how we give back to men and when we give back to men, because it is a thing and it is important. Also when we give gifts and things, like that's also a rule of thumb. You always give less than the man. You can't outdo him because then you're getting in a dick measuring contest. Don't be a man.
Don't be a man.
But for us, what we recommend when we tell men like how to ask
men. Yeah.
When we recommend like how to ask women out, it can be very overwhelming to go on a dinner date. So when I've had like first dates with men, also like I'm putting it through my lens, which is when I meet with people, I talk to them for 3 hours somehow.
When Meg's like, I'm going to go and meet someone for 45 minutes with coffee, I just book us out for the rest of the day. Because she falls down a chatty hole.
No, okay, in all fairness, I'm a Gemini moon. I could talk to a wall. I can be friends with a wall.
We tease her about this all the time.
But also it's the other person's fault too. If they were bored, they'd get up and leave.
Yeah, it's true.
So maybe we just, anyway. So,
Maybe you need to set an alarm when you go on dates that it goes off at like 45 minutes and then you're like, I have to go. That would never happen. But, it's...
Oh, it would totally happen.
So if you're not Megan and you don't have a Gemini moon, we recommend 1 hour.
Even for me, it's... But here's the thing. If you want to stay longer, that's a good thing. Just don't.
Don't stay longer.
Just don't. Don't be me. I'm a bad example of this. Nicole's a really good example. I am a very bad example of how to go on a first date.
Yeah, but I also have the attention span of a goldfish. Like if most people cannot hold my attention for longer than an hour.
Yes, but
like I can't. Like I'm like, nope, I can't. I also have a Venus in Gemini, and if you can't hold my attention for longer than an hour, you are definitely not going to be able to be in a relationship.
Right. This is intention. But that's the same with me. If I can't talk to you for 3 hours, there's no way. I don't care how hot you are. I'm not going to end up dating you. Or how rich you are, how anything. Like if I cannot speak to you, like conversation is my love language. If you can make me laugh and you can talk to me and you can teach me something, I will completely be enamored with you, because to be completely honest, most people cannot do that with either one of us.
Yes.
So this is why our clients ask us
how to date.
If we're scary.
Oh, yeah. If we're scary to date. So, gentlemen, if you are planning a date for the first date, keep it. You don't have to go to dinner. No pressure. Like, try to keep it around, like, what, $15, $20?
Yeah, I mean,
like, it's up to you based on your budget, but we do recommend, like, coffee or ice cream around an hour. That's real, just, like, get to know each other.
Well, and for me, like, when I've met men that were, if I got there first, I just buy my own coffee, because I don't know. The first meeting, when it's online, if you have not met in person before, if it's just online, you do not know if you're going to have chemistry with somebody. So even though it is a first date, it's kind of a first meeting, because you still have to smell someone for the Jacob Sims organ to decide whether you have chemistry or not, which is God-given because it's biological. So it's like So usually when I go on a coffee date, I will buy my own coffee if I get there first. Now, if he gets there first and then he's like, well, I want to buy you a coffee, then I'm like, oh, okay. Now, I've had men get offended by that and be like, you bought your own coffee? And it's like, well, I got here first. And I just say, like, it's an online date. You just never know. I've had weird things happen on first dates offline.
Be honest and vulnerable.
So it's whatever. It's just kind of, but that's also why we recommend coffee, because you can take your coffee to go. It's a lot harder to take a meal to go. If the person's weird, if it's just not comfortable, if you're not feeling it, it is an hour, versus if you get into a restaurant, you have no idea what your commitment has been. It depends on how busy the restaurant is. It's also a lot bigger of an investment for
him.
The man. It forces him kind of to pay if he's in his masculine.
There's also like dinner on the first date can be very like women, if you're in a wound, it can be like, well, I owe him something, and then you have a higher chance, if you've possibly been drinking or whatever, to go home with him because you feel like you owe him something after him dropping $100 on a meal. I've heard women talk about this.
Well, then you need to look at that, because that's a whole different ballgame.
But that's a big thing in our culture right now, is
if you're only worth $100, please come talk to me, because we need to chat, feminine. Like, I am totally, you are worth way more than $100. And
start with coffee. Just start with coffee.
Yeah. Also, but coffee's also like, there's no pressure. I just feel like there's a lot less pressure.
Yeah. And men, if you plan this date and she comes back, so say you and initiate the date, like, hey, does Thursday at 2 p.m. at this coffee shop work for you? And if she comes back and says, absolutely, awesome. If she comes back and says, unfortunately, I'm not available at that time, and she gives you another time, work with her. If a woman, like women, if you're listening to this, like, work with him. If he gives you a time and a place and that doesn't work for your schedule, don't be an asshole. Like, come back at him and give him options so he can work his schedule, because he is putting in effort. And men are so much more sensitive when it comes to rejection. If you just say, no, that won't work, and you don't give him any options, you're literally cutting him off at the knees. And then he's going to literally like deflate, and then it's going to be harder to get him to reinitiate and be in his masculine moving forward.
He'll probably just move to the next. Men have so many options nowadays because women are so easy. I'll just be completely honest with you. He'll just go to the next.
He'll...
So, and if you don't like coffee, there's always like ice cream, or just like, again, something that's just use your imagination, but something that isn't a full meal. That isn't like a huge amount of financial whatever. It's not 2 hours with somebody. It's 30 minutes to an hour. If you're not me. But it just takes, and you're going to know.
Yes.
Men almost instantly. Women, again, we recommend go watch our other podcast. That's actually the one before this one on the 3-date rule. If he's kind and it feels good to be around him, even if you're like, oh, he's too nice, then go listen to that podcast. Please go out with him again. Like, you have to recalibrate your nervous system out of these like Playboy Peter Pans. Not cute. So, but coffee, again, during the day is also feels way better to the feminine, just as a woman. And men, please ask where she lives. What part of town do you live in?
Yes.
And say, what part of town do you live in, so I can make sure that it's convenient for both of us.
Yeah.
Right? So that you're cherishing her feelings, because I have had so many men on the first dates. It's like, the coffee shop is 30 minutes away. And I'm like, well, he's not. And it's also automatically a strike against you, and you don't even realize it, because I'm like, oh, I have to drive all the way down there. And it's just a girl thing, because I'm like, I don't want to drive all the way down there. We remember that you're the one pursuing. You're the one that is courting her as the masculine. So ask where she lives. And again, do a middle point where you're each driving 10 minutes. Or if you're really in your masculine, drive all the way and find one right by her, so that she only has to drive 5 minutes, because dating off of line, you can't go pick her up. I would recommend, going and picking up women. But, in today's world, I know that that's really creepy. But at one point, I wouldn't have even called it a date unless a man picked me up. So,
facts.
That's super old school. I get that the world is a lot weirder than it used to be. That was more simple times when a man would always pick you up if it was a date. And ladies, listen, dress feminine. Like, care about how you're appearing. Don't show up in your yoga pants. You just got out of the gym looking like a train wreck.
We always recommend you spend at least 30 minutes to an hour getting ready before you go on a date.
Yeah, even if it's just like listening to music or whatever, just to like get
Chill.
into your feminine and be relaxed, because the last thing you want to do is show up and be like, oh my gosh, I have to go to work and I have to do this and I have a meeting, and it's like, what? Like, rah.
Right.
You want to be settled and just in the feminine presence that's very like confident and easygoing, not this like so.
Well, and also, gentlemen, like, if you do say like you plan a date at 1:30 and you have a meeting at 4:00, communicate that with her, because you might end up going, like talking, so that she doesn't feel like you're just ending it very abruptly. Like, I have to go to work.
Oh, I've got another point. Another way a guy has messed up is that make sure you know when the coffee shop closes, because I had a guy, and actually we ended up dating, but going out on several more dates, but it was actually really funny. Like, we only had like 30 minutes to have coffee because the coffee shop was closing. So just like make sure you're checking these things. And I mean, we just laughed about it because it wasn't a big deal. But it would have been nice to have like a full hour together or whatever. And it was cold outside, so I couldn't like stand outside and talk to him because I didn't bring a coat. I just like ran in, and he's like, "You're freezing, are you?" And also, men, if you like the girl, okay, or if you like the woman, tell her, text me when you get home. I don't care if it's the middle of the day. That's masculine. You're already starting to protect her. You're regulating her nervous system. Tell her, hey, get home safe. Let me know when you get home. That is you protecting her. Men don't do that anymore, and it's really yucky. I've actually gotten in trouble for not texting men when I got home, and it actually made me feel good that I was like, oh, they actually really care if I got home.
Well, and also, feminine, thank him.
Yeah, thank you so much
for caring. Thank you for your time. Thank you for caring. Like, and then give him space. Don't, like, come at him and... masculine, you are more than open if you feel chemistry to plan a date, like second date right then and there. You're completely willing, like, do it. If you really like her, she will feel like you are pursuing her, that you want to see her again. Or, if you need to ruminate. Like, take a couple days, text her, and then, on to the next date. I've had men do both. I've had men be like, when can I see you next? What day, what time? Like, because they're trying to... I mean, they want you to be part of their territory. They're starting to like, oh, I like her. Their penis and their eyeballs are like, I like you. So that's for the masculine. For feminine, we just really just say, like, it's usually by the third date, and you give less and you plan it and do something fun out of the ordinary. If you guys are already in a relationship, we will do a podcast completely separate on that, but that's specifically just for dating. So, if he's taking you out to coffee twice and dinner, then treat him to ice cream for one time. So make sure that he sees that you appreciate him, but also that you're also willing to kind of meet him. He doesn't feel used in that sense. Because nowadays a lot of men are being used because of, for dinner. And I've heard women even say that. It's really messed up.
Yeah, so every third date you just say, hey, babe, I appreciate you. I want to show my appreciation. Are you willing to go to coffee with me or ice cream just so, everybody's doing their part. I don't really know how else to say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, if you have any questions on that, we will probably do a podcast on it. But if it's on YouTube, like and subscribe, comment, please. We're babies on YouTube, so please help us out. If you're on Spotify or Apple, rate us, comment, like, share, do all of the things, work your magic. If you like us, please help us grow. Did I miss anything?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.